Good morning. Give me a second. Shut my door. Good morning. Good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Welcome. There we are. Morning, Zeke. Morning, Dubs. A little bit of Edwin Starr. TikTok live ban ends. I believe I saw 8:07. So that train of nonsense doesn't start for a moment. 8:09. My apologies. 8:09. 7 minutes. Somebody remind me in 7 minutes to go live on TikTok. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the mummies. Okay. We gotta wait. Darn. No, we don't have to wait for anything. I was just got caught up in the music and was looking around. So start with a little bit of suppressed news. Here's a little video of how they indoctrinate Israeli children in their school system. So, one of the things that I've kind of noticed for a while is they kind of dry run stuff, Israel does, the way they treat people, and then that shit comes over here, and that's how they treat people here. It's all about what can they get away with, right? Refusefascism.org. It's going to be tough. Fascism is hard to spell. Thursday, May 15th, protests at the Supreme Court. So that would be Thursday this upcoming week. May 17th, nationwide protest. Saturday. Not gonna lie, pretty rough looking website. Also, refuse fascism. Whew, that's a lot. Just throwing that out there. So what the fuck these South African countries? You notice that they're white Afrikaners, right? So it's like bringing white supremacists to the United States. So it's like they're South African, but they're white. And I'm not talking about. Never mind, I forgot the word. Albino, which is common in South Africa. It's remember that it is not about the results. It is about the shock and awe effect of the announcement. So it's not so much that 54 Afrikaners that are white or from South America. Like, who cares if they're immigrating here? Great. But if they have no concept of our legal system or our laws, and they're going to come here and do exactly the kinds of shit that Peter Thiel and Elon Musk have done, and David Sachs, like, we don't increase the rates, just makes things affordable. Yeah. I saw one of the creators that I watched talking about. Did y'all know Rite Aid was going out of business, by the way, while I've looked for what I was looking for? Like, think about, I hate to be like this, but I'm being like this, okay? Donald Trump promised to deport 14 million people, and he's not even getting to do the deporting part. What he's doing is having people fucking kidnapped and trafficked, and they're having to return them home, return them right back to the United States, and then they're gonna sue the government. And remember, this is meant to keep you in fear, keep you living in fear. Excuse me, burp, of this regime. Excuse me, burp again. Okay. Before I go live on TikTok, I want to make sure I get it out. Racism is fucking bad. Okay. Slava fucking Ukraine. Free Palestine. Holy shit. Fuck Israel. Fuck any Israel supporter. Fuck any Trump supporter. What else can we get out of our fucking system before we get back on TikTok? Bigotry is bad. Okay. Sexism is bad. Okay. Uh, being a white person and being anti-immigrant is the most ignorant shit I've ever heard in my life. If you live in the U.S. and you consider yourself a white person, guess what? You're an immigrant. You're the son or a daughter of an immigrant, or the granddaughter or grandson of an immigrant. And don't ever fucking forget that. I was trying to think anything else we need to get off our fucking chest before we get over there. Bueller. Somebody's start doing your voodoo now. Well, good morning. You may want to go up in the top of my profile and click, and there's a link to my YouTube channel, which just hit 2,000 subscribers. So I want to start this morning's show by thanking my supporters. Um, Again, it doesn't mean something in the context of this is why I got into this, was not to play a numbers game. Um, But I was a professional journalist covering the Indianapolis Colts for 6 seasons and had just a few hundred subscribers on YouTube doing something professionally. I was being paid to do, okay? I was never interested at all in TikTok. I wouldn't consider myself a TikToker anymore. I don't even create original content for TikTok anymore. Um, we have a toxic relationship. So if you're, I think I'm gonna start doing that. If you're watching this show and you're on TikTok and you realize how fickle a bitch she really is, if I was you, I'd go up into my profile and click on that YouTube link and subscribe to my YouTube channel because you're gonna see me on YouTube more. Okay, starting today. Okay, I made a joke. I shouldn't joke, but I said that I'd stream myself playing video games if if I ever got to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Um, I plan to do that after the show today. Um, I don't know that I'll be live on TikTok. I don't know that I'll also do that. Um, but yeah, I wanted to make sure I got on here today and said thank you. 2,000 YouTube subscribers. Like, we finally broke 16,000 uh, TikTok subscribers or followers or whatever. Um, yeah, it's definitely a lot more sane on YouTube. Um, so yeah, good morning everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all the mommies and all the single dads out here doing the damn thing. Yeah, thanks. Um, before someone asks, so you know how you always see those videos where they're like, people keep asking me, and it's like nobody fucking asked you. Nobody asked, but someone eventually is going to be like, I don't understand why you weren't just streaming yourself playing video games. Remember that this is not what I wanted. If I had to like lay out how my life went, I would have just been a teacher and a football coach. To be completely honest with you, like if I had to pick it out, but what happened was, um, like I said, I think we've been over this before, but what really truly radicalized me beyond the point of no return was that Klan rally at Madison Square Garden, where um, Tony Hinchcliffe, for the record, I want to make sure I also say this, did his job. He did what he was paid to do. I didn't say he did well or that he was fucking funny. And what had happened was I didn't know who to tell it to, but I knew that like TikTok was the place that would receive what I said, and I would have instant credibility. Um, and so you can see inside the mind, this is how my brain works. And keep in mind that I'm a stoner and I have PTSD, so and I'm otherwise unmedicated. So if you ever wondered what the fuck, try that on. So good to go, Zeke. Where was I? I knew that when I saw what Tony Hinchcliffe did, and then there were others too. You know, Grant Cardone got up there and was really fucking racist too. And there was this dude, this Israeli dude, this big dude that got up there, and he was pretty fucking awful too. And so I started making TikTok, uh, I think to cope with having to sit through it. It felt like I sat through the most evil event in on American soil that I could recall in a long fucking time. People were likening that. event at Madison Square Garden to an event that happened in 1930s. Like 90 years before. We got restricted for that on TikTok. Think about our content, our subject matter thus far. We're going to go ahead and restart on TikTok. It's crazy, right? Just playing the game, right? So, what had happened is that I didn't think, I knew if I said something about Tony Hinchcliffe on Facebook, I was just gonna lose more friends, right? And it was because I worked at a fucking comedy club I've actually done stand-up comedy and I've written material, right? And my wife has written material and my wife has done stand-up comedy. And so like when your proximity to something is that close, I feel like I can make a comment about I can lament about that not being good comedy. He may have been there to do a job and have done a job, but what he was doing was not funny. I hate to say it. I have heard racist jokes that are funny, that are strikingly racist. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you told that joke. But it was still funny. Tony Hinchcliffe couldn't even hit that bar. His shit was bad and racist. And then what was worse is that there were follow ups to that. And I was so full, so full. I had taken in, one of the things that you'll catch me saying over and over and over again is that we have seen and heard more than we should have ever seen or heard. Far more. And I think for me, when I watched that event, and again, there's going to be people that are like, oh, Jared, I've heard far worse. Like, oh, okay, what the fuck are you listening to? Um, but when I heard um, that event at Madison Square Garden, I was so full, not just of want to critique um, comedy. I never really had a desire to get back into comedy. I think we talked about how troubling our my wife and I's experience was in doing stand up comedy. And then one of the things I realized really quickly when I started making content was how I would look around TikTok and there were so many people that were afraid to talk about politics, so they were dancing around subjects. And I realized there is this virus within peoples where you don't want to be disliked. And I'll just tell you, as someone who has plenty of people that like me, that nothing gives you like energy like having a fucking hater. And so what I'm saying is not that I enjoy or that I thrive off of being disliked. It's that when I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that like me, and for the record, feels weird because there's a lot of people that have supported me financially and otherwise that are here right now. But what I'm saying is, most of the people that say that they like someone wouldn't lift a finger for them. Okay? So I want to make sure in the same breath I say, I'm not talking about y'all. Okay? But on the fucking whole, there are tons of people that will say, "Oh, I love such and such," right? And it's like if something happened to them, would they lift a fucking finger, right? So do you feel like when somebody says they like you, how do you feel that? I don't feel it. But when somebody fucking dislikes me, oh, I can feel that. Oh, you're giving me attention. That's crazy. You're paying me more attention than my own family. That's wild. They follow me everywhere. They comment on everything that I do. They post about me on other social media sites. I can't even get the fucking people that I like to follow me everywhere, post comments on all my shit, go so far as to post my shit to other websites, but a motherfucking hater will. Isn't that the craziest shit you've ever heard in your life? And it's dead ass true. Happy Mother's Day. I know it doesn't feel good to hear it, but it's true. Like when someone says that they like you, I think Bob has a really unique gift that he's sending me. Okay, Bob and I have connected, right? Okay, Bob's already done the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Is think about me when I'm not in the room with good intentions, and then follow up and say, "Hey, you weren't even there when I got this, but I want to give this to you as a gift." That's like actually thinking about another person and then acting upon those thoughts. Like, I think so much of you that I want to give you this gift, right? People do not do that for their own family members. People don't do it for their neighbors. People do it for complete strangers. Most of you would call that a job. Why are all these men whining today? Uh, what's going on? This was the first comment I got on TikTok. You know what, Mama Bird? I'm just gonna let you have it. Have all that solitude you was looking for. Oh, that was an insta block. Like, I don't really care to be lumped in with anyone else, and I don't really think I was whining. I think I was making a really solid fucking point. Like, you people in my YouTube audience have done more for me than my own family. You people. On regular occasion. Not and the people in our Discord have gone above and beyond for me and in the 6 months we've known each other, by the way. So today we're sort of celebrating getting unbanned on TikTok Live and also hitting 2,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. So I'm gonna play Path of Exile. I'm gonna do whatever I was gonna do anyway. Okay. And in addition to thanking you for supporting me, thanks for being here, just as consistent as I'm here. One of the things that this show is built around. Thanks, cool. One of the things this show is built around is the audience. Okay. Hey, Marcia. So when I have watched shows in the past, and again I'm speaking directly to my experience, the audience has been a non-factor. And only when someone is planted in the audience with like a question or whatever, or they're gonna do a little skit with an audience member, does the audience matter. And again, I didn't plan this. It just kind of fell together where I realized what I had an opportunity to do. What I have opportunity to do is share the news with you that you probably aren't gonna get today otherwise, and you recognize the quality of links. AP News, Reuters, BBC. We're not using Joe and Blow's blog that built the Republican Party. We're not doing that. We're talking about what's actually going on in the world. We're not sitting around fear mongering, right? We're not sitting here telling everybody, if you don't let them arrest you, we're at the event horizon. Just remember, every time someone says return violence, just remember that they can't even deport people correctly. They're afraid to do it. So they are sending 30 people to arrest one person and strip her from her child and make it a loud, shocking event in a residential neighborhood, and then understand that that person is going to be released. And so I know, I know that it feels like they're winning. Don't tread on our rights to the Puerto Rico. But that's not how that works at all. So all peoples are due process, which means you go in front of a judge before you get kicked out of the country. I know that the biggest problem here is that people don't read beyond like a seventh grade level because there's not a lot of value in being well read. But I will tell you this, okay? I've recently been clocking my dollar per hour at my new job. And I will tell you that the reason that I make so much goddamn money is because my reading comprehension is out of this world, and my ability to do shorthand math on a small calculator quickly is off the fucking charts. I can absolutely rip. So the difference between me and everyone else is I am readily understanding the two of the most important things, that skills that I needed to master in life, is my ability to read, reading comprehension. Not just the ability to read words quickly and read books quickly, but the ability to glean something from what you're reading, to actually take away from the book something. Be able to tell someone more than this is the main character, this is the plot, that is the antagonist, this is the climax, this is the resolution, this is the end, right? Like, this is the introduction of characters. I have no idea what that is. Kill the queen and the princess. I don't know why you keep spamming that in my chat. How about not? So, one of the things that you got to understand is that deportation is a legal process by which the person being deported wouldn't be arrested. It wouldn't be political theater. It would be boring. They would receive a summons, they would have a court date, they would have an attorney, they would show up to a courthouse, they would have documentation prepared, they would have arguments prepared. They would probably win their deportation case and not get deported. There's a reason. You have to prove that they entered illegally, and most of the people that they're deporting are green card holders. And keep in mind how many American citizens that they deported wrongly. So again, here's the problem that you're gonna have. This person is not real. That's not a real person. That's a bot. That's a robot right there. Okay, you're going off the deep end. We don't want to do that. Okay. Remember, racism's bad. Okay, like us, like South Park. But yeah, we talked about how Rite Aid's closing. Everybody knows this, right? There are no surprises on this channel. Yay! Empress and Ally, two of the nice people on TikTok. Vladimir Putin must agree ceasefire before holding direct talks with Ukraine. Ukraine's allies have rejected Vladimir Putin's offer to hold direct talks with Ukrainian officials. Oh, and this is probably like the best news you'll get all day. AP News. I don't know about you, but I thought one of the worst things that Donald Trump was doing was purging federal government employees. Make sure if you're watching me here, um, TikTok's a fickle bitch. I've been live streaming my show every day for the last 6 months on YouTube. And so you can just go up here and click, there's a link for my YouTube channel, and Clapper as a backup to TikTok when we inevitably lose our privileges to go live on TikTok because we say things like Slava Ukraine, Free Palestine, racism's bad, that kind of stuff. Generally, I think we hit all the topics we've been banned for in one fell swoop. Those were all straight out of the TikTok shop, just so everyone knows. Yep. Appreciate you, Allie. But yeah, I want to make sure we say that TikTok's a fickle bitch. Hey, make sure you're following me on YouTube because we've been streaming there live. Okay. There are just as many people on YouTube as there are on TikTok. YouTube's more important to me than TikTok is. Okay. After the show today, because we hit a goal of 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, yeah, Ripley's saying it all right here. I have you on YouTube as well. TikTok's getting worse each day. Again, one of the things that broke me, this regime, broke me first. That's one of my favorite songs. I don't know if you guys like. Do you guys like women that sing? Do you know Tate McRae? Bars. This song is hard. You broke me first. You might know what I'm talking about. I hope she keeps going. I hope she keeps making content. But this song is a banger. About yourself. That you was thinking about someone else. Check it up, party and it broke down. Phone's been off for a couple months and you're calling me now. I know you like this. You don't go your way, you needed me to fix it. That shit's hard. That's a fucking great song. Anyway, so I hope I introduced you to a new song today, because that's a fucking great song. But back to the topic at hand. One of the things that was most troubling to me with this administration, because it affect what I think about is what affects the most people. Okay, what affects the most people in this administration has been their rampant firing of federal government employees. And I know that we live in a constant news cycle of bad news, but this is good news. So a judge has basically halted all of Donald Trump's firings at the federal level. This is a news story. This is AP News from after midnight. So it's fresh. I mean, in the last 8 hours, kids, a judge has basically stop Donald Trump from continuing to fire federal government employees. Now, we all know he's going to fire people anyway because that's the only thing he knows how to do. You notice he only knows how to hire his friends and fire people that are not bootlickers. Okay? I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but his circle is very small and his list of enemies is very big. And I don't know about you, but when I think about which team I'd rather be on, okay, my daddy always told me you would rather be the worst player on the biggest and best team than the best player on the smallest and worst team. Do you understand? That's just a basic, like, I'd rather win type shit. Okay? And the thing about Donald Trump is that he thinks he owns the DOJ. He thinks he owns the FBI. And what I'm very quickly realizing is that people like Kash Patel and people like Pete Hegseth are so woefully unqualified that most of the shit that is actually going on right over their heads. They have no fucking clue. They're in over their heads. One of the things we also got to keep remembering is this entire cabinet did not pass a background check and they're not privy to highly classified information. And not only that, but Donald Trump has been skipping those meetings. There's a reason that Donald Trump's not really flexing muscle militarily. Is because he can't. He doesn't know how. He first of all, he didn't serve his country. I want to keep reminding everyone that Donald Trump had a doctor say that he had bone spurs, okay, and couldn't serve in the military. Yet this man golfs like 3 or 4 times a week, well into his 70s, and as a relatively healthy adult male, okay, as a healthy adult male, guess what you wouldn't be doing in your fucking 70s if you had bone spurs in your fucking 20s? Golfing. Walking around fucking golfing. Those bone spurs would have gotten worse as you got older. Okay? Somebody said normal Democrats have left the party now. All that's left is radicals. Well, anyway, I'm a socialist. I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. I don't care about left versus right type shit. We are in a rich versus poor type shit environment. And one thing you're not gonna do, sit on my channel and spout that poo. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. I'm not I'm not really sure. But yeah, I just nope out of that real quick. Uh-huh. One thing that I've realized the problem is that people are so goddamn stupid. They cannot communicate. There's so many people that I've blocked because what you said doesn't make any excuse me, fucking sense. And I'm not going to sit and try to make sense out of your nonsense. So be aware that if you're gonna type something at me, it's gotta hit. If it just doesn't have anything, I'm just gonna block you. I was blocked. I don't give a fuck. You're stupid. I don't have time. Okay? Yeah, rich people created this left versus right shit. Okay? People don't even know what a communist is. You know what I do when I hear somebody call someone a name? They're like, "You're a Marxist, Leninist, communist," and I'm like, "Huh? I didn't know you could be Marxist and Leninist and a commie." So I like go look it up, and I started looking at who's FOTUS. Is this? I mean, we've been saying Elon Musk is a terrible president. Again, I think that Vladimir Putin gives orders to Elon Musk, who gives them to Donald Trump, and they don't have all the information. Oh, Ripley, I was lost. I was about to block you. Trump loses it again. Amazon's moving to Mexico. Photos is only yes. I didn't know it. I didn't know it. Sorry. There's 75 people here on TikTok. Hey, good morning. Understand that we are approaching milestones. 2,000 on 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. We have over 16,000 here on TikTok. Thank you. Thank you. I am being effusive. Do you see this? Thank you. Thank you. That none of this happens without y'all. Okay? I'm not asking you for money, but I did say, hey, I play video games in my spare time. People actually do regularly ask me about video games. And I said, if I ever hit 2,000 fucking subscribers on YouTube, I'll stream myself playing. Who's Caitlin? I said I would stream myself playing video games, so I'm going to do that after the show today on YouTube. I don't know that I'll be live on TikTok. I don't know that that makes much sense. Okay. And growing. Remember to get 8 hours of sleep a night. Remember to drink water, eat right, and exercise. It happened, by the way. Remember how I told you, like, I wait for one of the kids that I coached to come to me one day in college and be like, dude, you were right. I have all the time in the world. I should be an elite athlete. I have the time. And it happened. One of the kids that I coached is in college, and he said, hey, I want to gain mass. I want to become like an otherworldly athlete for my size. And I said, you got to get bigger, basically. And they were like, "Will you build a workout plan for me?" And it's like the most completing fucking question anyone can ever ask is like, "Will you do what you like spent years studying and learning about? Will you do that for me?" Oh, fuck yes, I'll do that for you. Um, so one of my athletes texts me like, "I need a workout plan, coach." So which is awesome because they could just go anywhere and get that right, but they trust old ball coach. Okay. And again, I tell them the same thing I tell you. It's mostly within your control to be that elite athlete because it's mostly about treat yourself. You want to be a really good athlete, you got to get good rest. Check it. When you are asleep, those REM cycles do wonders for recovery. Literally, if you get hurt playing sports or something and you're just like fucking sore, the best thing you could do is wrap yourself up in a heated blanket and sleep it off. Dead ass. You hurt your knee but it's not structural damage, but like you hurt your knee pretty bad. Happened to one of my kids playing football, and you know what I told him? I bet your mom's got a heating pad. Fuck ice, literally. Wrap your knee with a heating pad and sleep it off. And that kid was at practice the next day. I watched his knee get folded up like a lawn chair. Was out the next day. Hey, my knee feels awesome. And here's why. There's a lot of sciencey shit to this, but long story short, when you put ice on something, you constrict the blood flow to something, and I don't know if you know this, but the shit that heals you is in your blood. So like the shit that would heal like structural damage, it's in your bloodstream. How do you get blood to an object? Well, you got two choices, okay? If it hurts so goddamn bad that you're probably gonna pass out, you might want to put ice on it, okay? But if it's just sore, like you're sore because you're wounded, and not like a flesh wound, right? Like you got an injury, put heat on it. Open up the capillaries and the veins and expand them and increase blood flow to the area. When shit swells up, that's a good thing. It means that your body knows you're fucked up and they sent more blood to the area to heal you, right? But one of the things that we do is, and I think about it all the time, especially because I've been dealing with third-degree burns on my hand. So you can all see consequences for our actions, right? I really did burn the absolute dog shit out of my left hand, my dominant hand. And in that process I've kind of learned like, well, you have to take care of yourself. If you don't sleep, you don't heal as fast. Okay? So you got to keep wounds closed as long as possible. The problem with third degree burns, grease burns on my hand, is that the blisters leaked, and so yeah, burns were pretty bad. The reason burns are bad is because obviously you have the initial pain, but these bubbled up and were blistery. And then I just literally watched the bubbles get bigger until it started it just separated from the skin and leaked. Now you have burns, blisters, and open wounds, right? So fortunately, um, light scabbing. You can see how the webbing in my hand was where it hit, and the back of my thumbs actually where it got worse. I mean, it looks like it aged the skin on the back of my left thumb. This is like what old people look like, all wrinkly and shit. Anyway, so there's 100 fucking people on TikTok. Hey, TikTok is a fickle bitch. Go up here. Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube. After this show's over, we will be live streaming. I'm playing like very end game and actually early end game Path of Exile. So before the show, I just completely walked through a tier 10 map. So we're moving on. So we'll be able to kind of flex a Righteous Fire Chieftain build that isn't Pox playing it. Um, and for the record, if you're into Path of Exile and you don't know who Pox is like the nice guy streamer in the Pox community. It's where I got the Righteous Fire build that I play. And once you watch me play as that character, you'll realize why I play as that character. So I was thinking about it today. I'm not like hitting anything. I have an aura in Path of Exile. I have an aura called Righteous Fire, which for the record, it fucking fits. I'm literally wearing fire colors, right? Uh, but it extends out from your character, like in the game, it's like 3 meters, right? Which is far away from you. And when enemies run at you, before they could hit you, they explode because of the Righteous Fire. So it actually looks pretty cool. I actually think now that I'm in like the mid to late game, I have pretty high level gear. Now I think it looks pretty cool. How I could just like walk through and I'm watching the mobs that I'm fighting and I'm like, this game's awesome to watch at like super high level. It's not fun to watch. Path of Exile is the grindiest, grimiest thing you've ever seen in your life until you get high level, and then it's beautiful, and you're like, holy shit, this game's rad. I'm at that part, so I want to use video games to ex- ex- extend my platform, extend my reach, kind of see myself along the lines of a Hassan. Like I like Hassan, right? Um, and that if I were streaming myself playing video games and I've got a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics sort of unabashedly, we're gonna end up talking Hassan, right? We're gonna end up in that space. We've got the followers, and then I have the intent, right? So I have this noble intent of saying like, despite the great personal risk, I've founded the American Socialist Party, and I'm gonna put my own money into it to get it to a point where we can actually fundraise. And remember, up front, before I ever ask you for a dime, one of the things I want to do is I want to give away, like the merch. I want to give away the patterns that we develop, give it away, let people make their own shit the cheapest as possible. I'm trying to think about putting a t-shirt on as many people as possible. If I had the money, I'd just give it away, right? But what I'd rather do is say, look, we had a fan created logo. We need fan created merch, right? So want to make sure we put that out there, and we need to expand our platform to do that and do things like socialists would do them, right? There's a reason that I didn't rush, right? I know there's a lot of people that have like given up or turned their back on me on altogether because I didn't run out, throw $1,000 that I don't have at this project and not really know what the fuck I am doing. So I'm kind of taking my fucking time and just waiting until, I hate to say it like that, if there's an opening where where I've got the extra $1,000, and again I want to make sure I say it without begging people for that. I needed to be able to put up that $1,000 and say, look what I did, right? I saved up the money to be able to put the $1,000 in the bank, get us an ITN bank account, right? We have all the social media stuff set up. Now it's just about continuing to do what I'm doing, right? But I got to get to a spot. Like my wife's going to get breaks tomorrow, right? I'm not in a financial position to do that. Yeah, Zeke, do that. Put on a hat, all that stuff. That's what we want to do. Because if it was capitalist, or we would be trying to make money at every turn, right? I would rather see everybody with a t-shirt on it with the ASP logo than have made money off that, right? And that's because I know the profit on a t-shirt is not that high. So, I'm not missing anything. You know what I mean? I can promise you that the solution to your problems is not even more money. And you know who's finding that out every day? The people who made it their entire personality to get more money are losing their entire fucking asshole. Pretty consistently, I might add. One of the things that they do is lose fucking money. That's what billionaires do, right? With the exception of, honestly, with the exception of, oh, what's the Microsoft CEO? Gates, Bill Gates. He did pledge the remainder of his fortune to the Gates Foundation, um, which is again no small feat. Okay, being able to give whatever you have left to a foundation that has done things like eradicate malaria, for example, is something to keep in mind. By the way, here's Bill, yeah, he obviously it's his foundation, but again, I don't think that. Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. Um, and one of the things that they've also made very difficult to do is giving away money. I just want to make sure people know this. It is actually not that easy to be a philanthropist. And I know there's people out there like, fuck yeah, it is. You could just fucking give it away. No. No, baby girl, no. Understand that I worked in project management for a large company and we had to do stuff with things like Habitat for Humanity. Okay? Understand that the owner of our company, multi fucking millionaire, could have paid for every one of those Habitat homes and instead had to fucking fundraise. And it slowed down the program. Don't want to move too fast to help poor people. Yep. Mm-hmm. SpongeBob and Patrick were the best. Only socialist business ever. SpongeBob created color Krabby Patties, made bank, and gave the extra profits to the customers. Yep. Yep. Bill Gates had an interview lately where he said he was going to pick up the slack where US aid was cut. Yep. Meanwhile, all those other billionaires are losing their whole asshole. They're now into the trillions. They have of personal wealth lost. There's a reason that I get on here every day and tell people, look, you don't have to go to all these protests. It could get overwhelming. A lot of people have developed social anxiety as a result of being trapped in their house because of COVID. Raise your fucking hand if that's you, right? But what you can do is you could stop fucking doom scrolling and doing stone nothing, and you could eliminate Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, and probably Amazon off your devices. You could probably do all of those things. If you're going to use Amazon to find what you were going to buy. Then, hey, click a couple extra buttons and just go buy it from the producer and save yourself some money. You will pay less money to the people that actually make that shit than you pay to them on Amazon because they got to charge you a fee in order to do it on Amazon. And oh, by the way, you know what's the most mind fuckingest thing you've ever seen in your life? A FedEx truck pull up to drop off an Amazon package. So if you think for 5 fucking seconds that the world needs Amazon to survive, understand that Amazon eats other companies' capabilities up too. They are absolutely using other companies for things like transpo and delivery. So Amazon is more a parasite than anything else. hmm They're just leeching off of people who just struggle to get their product to market. Now everybody's figured out how to get their product to market, right? At least you'd think if you had like a product you were making and you wanted to sell it, like we figured that out, right? Well, you got to remember the thing about Bill Gates is he started Microsoft in his garage. You know, I don't think when if you start it from your garage and you're not born with a silver spoon in your hand and all Bill Gates has done his whole life is work. And oh, by the way, I'll say this: has work and built Microsoft, which produced the operating system that I've used 90% of my life and have never had a fucking issue. They bought stock. He bought stocks. By the way, I'm doing a little research on Bill Gates here. He bought stocks January 5th in yeah. Yep. Amazon did start in a garage. I worked for a company that started in a garage. I worked for Defenders or Defender Direct, which sold and installed ADT product and also bought and would you rather Mickey, would you rather have Bill Gates buy it or the Chinese? Pretty easy answer for me. But yeah, started in a garage. Yep. Yeah, but they can't buy it because this administration's forcing them to sell for the shoe. Hey, there are those of you that are invested in things that just aren't true, and I'm gonna let you know that that is gonna affect our relationship. It's gonna shorten it. Just wanted to let you know that. Like if I see you typing some shit in the chat and I'm like, but that's not can't even I don't even want to be friends with somebody like that. Like wild that like comes out of your mouth hole. You know what I mean? I'm convinced we could literally talk about anybody and TikTok commenters would find a way to tear that apart, right? Like the same person is like Bill Gates only buys companies. Bill Gates like in successive comments. Bill Gates only buys companies. Bill Gates is buying all of our farmland, and then I'm like, well, wouldn't you rather have an American buy it than like I don't know the Chinese? I would rather U.S. farmers buy it. Well, no fucking shit. The problem with that is they're being forced out. They can't afford their farms, so they're being forced to sell. Who would you rather buy your farm? Bill fucking Gates, who just pledged the remainder of his fucking fortune to a charitable foundation, or anyone else? I the answer seems pretty simple, actually. Just throwing that out there. Okay. And you know what? If they were really trying to be more efficient, you know what they would have done by now? They would have replaced human beings completely. Hey, can you replace that Purdue flag with an IU fence? Well, I went to Purdue so I could get a job. Um, I was an IU fan, Cody, until they fucking fired Bobby Knight, and I was like, you know what? This sad ass athletic department is never gonna win anything relevant the rest of my life. And they also haven't done that. Um, and then I got a 1510 out of 1600 on the SAT when I was like 15 years old, and then my mom said, "You're never going to IU." Though Knight ruined Damon Bailey. Yeah, Bobby Knight was like a horrible person. He was like violently and verbally abusive, just like my old man. Um, so I went through a phase of my life where I thought abuse was funny too, but more in like a gallows humor kind of way. Like, you've gotten a fucking chair thrown at you too, huh? Reed. Yeah, yeah, me too. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot. There are a lot of Bob Knight haters. You believe that, but you wouldn't understand that a few years before I was born, that man was God. So yeah, I did see that about the sun blocking experiment because of climate change. Bill Gates's foundation is researching the ability to block out the sun. Hey, if you can't get people to get off of fucking fossil fuel vehicles, fucking block out the sun. You know what I'm saying? I shared a video of a police officer, an off-duty police officer in New York, opening fire and shooting. Somebody says, sounds like a Democratic idea. I'm not really sure if that's supposed to be like an insult. So you think something that they hang up over like a city that blocks out harmful UV rays is a Democratic idea because that's fucking brilliant? I'm B-Dog, I'm waiting. He immediately attributed that to the Democrats, and I'm like, is it because it's brilliant? I'm waiting. You might be careful. Bobby Knight, horrible person, hell of a coach, yeah. Look at how other grown men come into my chat with this passive aggressive shit. Honey, that shit don't fly here. You just get blocked. By the way, I'll put my hand up to and say, "Hey, I'm looking for like-minded friends, and I don't care whether you served your country or not. I do care though. Here's the one person that I would not want to be friends with. Are you ready? Other than all the other people that I've already blocked. Okay? I've realized this yesterday. Okay? You ever know like some uncomfortable truth and you could absolutely say it. You could make it like a part of your fucking personality, but everyone would fucking hate you and want nothing to fucking do with you? I'll tell you. It's when you meet a veteran and you have a couple questions or statement. One, if you meet a veteran and you constantly are asking a veteran if they hurt someone, right? Did you kill anyone? Were you in combat? How many tours you do? Did you blow people up? Shit like that. Uh, Not great. And then also the people that say stuff like, "Oh, you were in the military, so you worked for the billionaires." I don't want to be friends with that. I'm just letting you know, if you look at, and here I'll just put you on game, okay? I was in the Marine Corps infantry, so I am the apex predator. You understand? I'm the one when somebody meets me and they're like, "Holy shit, were you in the military?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "What branch were you?" And I was like, "In the Marine Corps." And they're like, "What'd you do in the Marine Corps?" And I was like, "I was in the infantry." They're like, "I fucking knew that." Okay? And then there's everybody else. So when I meet a veteran and they're like, "Oh, you have veterans preferences?" I'm like, "Well, what branch were you in?" And they say, "Oh, I was in the Air Force." Do you know what I say? "Thank you very much for your service." And they're like, "Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that." I was in the Marine Corps infantry, so I just love helping my fellow veterans. And you know what the next sentence out of their mouth is? "Damn, I wish I'd have joined the Marine Corps." And I'm like, "No, the fuck you didn't. What's wrong with you?" And they're like, "Nah, man, because, like, I want to be like a fucking loud and proud veteran." I'm like, and it literally doesn't matter what branch of service you were in. You can be loud and proud, just don't be a dick. Because there are Marines that have seen an infinite more time in service, higher rank, more deployment, have done it all, and would just tell me shut the fuck up, right? But they don't have my fucking platform. So one of the things that I try to make sure that I do as a veteran, as somebody who is the apex predator, I am the fucking Marine Corps infantryman in this conversation. Most of the time when you meet someone that was in the military, they weren't in the Marine Corps. They sure as fuck weren't in the infantry because most of them boys don't survive or talk about their time in service. Okay? Chuck Wetzel. I am a Vietnam vet and say nothing. It's my choice. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to talk about your time in service. Cody said, I'm proud of my Air Force time and my boy's about to leave for the Army. Source subject. Oh man, I fucking hate the Army. What's your thoughts on the Pat Tillman story? He was killed by friendly fire. That's one of the things about Pat Tillman is that, and again, I can kind of relate to Pat Tillman. See, Pat Tillman had a little bit of life experience before he joined the military, and he had some opinions and thoughts and shit, and he was talking about that. And you know how that works. Men aren't allowed to have opinions and shit and thoughts and dreams and talk about that shit. You're gonna get somebody all worked up, and then they're gonna put a bullet in your back, which is exactly what happened to Pat Tillman. Yeah, he was killed by friendly fire. He's killed by his own. Those are just facts. It doesn't make him like less of a hero in this story. He's not like a bad guy. And I'm obviously, if I'm wrong, I want to be shown. Like, hey, Jared, here's a story where that's not exactly true. You know what I mean? Like, so hey, if I'm wrong, I'm just say I'm fucking wrong. You know. And remember how I said the boiler up? What was intentional? Remember how I said the people that voted for this are going to be the ones that hurt the worst? Here's Donald Trump slowing down the internet in rural America, calling it woke and illegal. I I'm not saying it. I'm saying Donnie said it. Rural America, who put him in office, he's abandoning them. He is leaving them with slower fucking internet. Dennis said, I was born in Lafayette. I could be a smartass here and say Lafayette, Louisiana, but you're talking about Lafayette Memorial. And again, just as Savannah said, was Pat Tillman shot intentionally? Uh, I believe Annie that my summation of the events are accurate. I believe that I perceive him as an open-minded person, not afraid to share their thoughts. And the buddies of his that he served with, not fucking liking that shit. Is that I'm inferring. I am not laying accusation or saying this happened. I'm inferring friendly fire, and as a direct result of like people disagreeing with other people's opinions on some shit. Um, I don't talk about it because it's like acknowledging it gives someone else power over you. But what I've realized and what I realized like while I was on active duty, my staff sergeant Sandy, who he had been silent drill platoon and he had been in fast company, so he'd been pretty elite units in the military before he came to weapons company. and he was our platoon commander. So this is an enlisted staff sergeant with 5 years in the Marine Corps, by the way. 5. Usually you don't hit staff sergeant in 5 fucking years. Nor do you go to 8th and I coming out of fucking boot camp and be a part of Silent Drill Platoon. Nor do you go from Silent Drill to Fast Company. Nor do you typically go fucking Silent Drill Platoon, Fast Company, fucking 2-2. You don't normally do that shit. But he pulled me to him. If he had duty, I had duty. If we had to go somewhere, I was his driver. And he told me many times that one of the reasons that he pulled me to him is because he said, I don't think everyone else here realizes how dangerous you are. Like, you're smart, people like you, like, people listen to you, they follow you. You're just a big guy, right? You fuck up just this much, you fuck up everybody behind you, and I need you to have your shit tight. So you're gonna stay by me at all times. I'm gonna make sure that you know as much as you can know, so that you get into a position to lead, and you know where the bullshit starts, what you got to deal with as shit flows down. So I've felt that in other jobs too, where I don't have to lie to kick it. I believe is the way the kids say it, and that ability helped me while I was on active duty. That ability has helped me in school. Being able to kick it has helped me in every job I've ever had. Just being able to tell people the truth and it still kind of work out for us in the end, right? And yes, I'm wearing a hat. I don't understand. Which of those objects is a marine mammal? That fucking dolphin right there? Hate it. Has strings. The two stringed instruments? Yeah. Appreciate you, Dennis. But yeah, I'm wearing a hat with the visor pulled down because I have a monster zit dead center in my forehead. I would have loved to wear the Marine Corps hat, but it literally it makes it so it's a circle. Here's the dead center of the circle. So, nope. One of the things I want to make sure is 100+ people in here. I would love to invite someone to my live, but guess who I'm not going to invite onto my live? Someone that I've never interacted with before. And so I keep getting requests to join my live, and it's someone that I've never even interacted with before. And I'm not bragging, I'm just saying I have a platform here. There's 100 people in here. If you had the microphone and you were able to just yammer to 100 fucking people, would you be real keen to give that up to a stranger and just let them say whatever dipshit ass thing comes onto their mind with an audience that you've cultivated? I don't think so. I think that you'd be pretty want to hold on to that fucking microphone and be real careful about who you hand it to, right? So why are red Southern Saints higher welfare, poor education? Trump says, "Oh, Storm is coming with okay." Because nobody with a brain wants to live in a red state or a red part of a state. Could have went anywhere. When I got out of the service, I could have went to any fucking state. And this was 15, 17, 18 years ago. Okay? And you know what my brain did a long time ago? 20 years ago, I was thinking about climate change and how these already warm southern states are going to become goddamn near uninhabitable in the summer. Tell me when I'm wrong. These fucking southern states, you're going to lose shoreline. So you're buying property, right? And again, I don't need to do this. Florida, fucking Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Texas, right? You're buying this land on the water, and because of climate change, you're losing shoreline. Your property is shrinking. Guess what? You should never get a fucking loan on land that you're losing. Yeah? Yeah. Well, they've done that shit forever. Okay? So, uh not only are you losing shoreline, the most desirable land in the South, once you kind of pull back from that and there's the shoreline's not really livable, right? Because the rising tides, right? That pushes you back into like what I would call like undeveloped parts, underdeveloped parts, right? Yeah, houses just fall into the ocean. Exactly. So 17, 18 fucking years ago was like, okay, we're not living in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. You know, I probably wouldn't live in parts of the Carolinas. Probably wouldn't live in the parts of fucking Tennessee or Kentucky or West Virginia, fucking parts of Indiana, right? Ohio, fucking Southern Illinois. There's certain areas in the United States I just absolutely would not fucking live. Uh huh. Yep. So I came back to Indianapolis, and you know what? You know what? In hindsight, 2020. Look at that kid go. I came back to the place where everyone's moving to the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Somebody said they found a studio for $400,000 in Port Aransas, Texas. I feel so bad for everybody, man. You see, I bought a house in 2017 um, because our we were renting a house and the rent went up on us by like $100 a month. It went from 850 to 950 for a house. I know y'all are like $800, Jared. Uh, um, and my wife was like, "You should." My now wife was like, "You should buy a house." So fixed my credit up. Got a VA loan on a home. Paid $1,700 down. Okay, on a $175,000 house at like whatever the interest rate was 2017, right? So I, I part of me wants to say 2.5, but it's probably 3.5%. So what breaks my heart every fucking day is there's a subreddit for new homeowners posting fucking keys and pizza and being all excited and shit. And I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it. I'm just pointing it out. It fucking kills me when they're like $400,000, 7.5%. You usually have to put 1% down. You get points for putting a down payment on a home. Hmm. You want to get some points. If I remember correctly, it was to lower my interest rate. Hmm. And also, I think 7, 8 years ago, it's what the program required. But still, I know people that my best friend, he put $40,000 down on a house. Yeah, so I don't know. I paid $1,700 on my VA loan. 1% of the value of the home. Hmm. That was my only out of pocket cost, other than the fucking mortgage and the fucking yeah monthly payment. And for the record, what you actually you say you want an $850 mortgage. That $850, that's where you start. And then you are going to have to pay taxes and fees and all kinds of shit. So just so you know, on that $850, mhm. Eventually they give in when they realize like I'm an actual veteran that actually used the VA home loan program. Like what? Why are you arguing? I've never heard of someone buying a house without having to put anything down. So, and I'm allowed to be wrong, right? Like, but mostly everyone that I know, one of the major reasons that they haven't bought a house is because it costs too much money up front, right? And if you're a lender requiring people to put 10 to 15 to 20% down on a home, and you've doubled and tripled fucking home prices, you know what I'm saying? One of the things I know about real estate now is once you buy, you're trapped into that shit unless your career takes off. Unless literally money doesn't matter anymore. You're pretty much living there. Oh, FHA just brought back the no money down program. There you go. So that program was not around. Neither was the transition to teach program. So keep that in mind. That was actually something that happened relatively late in my education, where I was considering going back to school to be a STEM teacher. The problem was that unless I was willing to leave the state, not for a fucking teaching job, um, STEM teaching jobs are kind of a thing of the future, not really a right now thing. And again, keep in mind, Sundays are going to be a little different because there's really not like a flood of news. But as we are closing her up, we are reminding everyone, hey, get involved. Too many people have just sat on the sidelines, stood around with their hands in their pockets, not really gone involved. Here are a couple subreddits, a few subreddits that I peruse, and they are regularly part of the show. And if you ever wanted, I don't know, maybe some insight into where does he draw his content? Where's the best place for me to get news from on a subject from multiple different sources? Reddit, actually. Hey, thanks, Shirt. But yeah, I have not personally met anyone that bought a house without a down payment, hmm without having to put something down. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm sure there are people that have bought homes and not put any money down. Sure, I've never met them. Gonna end the show with a little bit of Eat the Rich. Let y'all get to your day. I'm gonna take a little break, and we'll go live in a little bit. Play a little video games. Get you a little bit of eat. Get you a little bit Eat the Rich in there. It's a better news source than Fox News. Yeah, you know what news sources aren't on Reddit? Fox News. You know where I don't get any credible news? Fox News. It should just be FAW. FAUX. FAW News. Faux News. Is it FAW? It's FAW. FAUX is FAW, right? Hey, we made it all the way through a show without well, we did get restricted. Yeah. Have a good day. It's faux. Okay. I couldn't have dipped out of that fucking TikTok fast enough. Holy shit. So YouTube's gonna get a little extra love, I think, at like the beginning and ends of shows where I'm like, oh, tea? What is that? What is that? Oh, that's where I'm missing a tooth. I'm such an idiot. I'm like looking at what is that? Where did that these fucking gaps come from? Oh yeah, when I was a little kid, I had a tooth that I lost, and when the adult tooth grew back, it grew to about half the length, and it turned black and fell off. And then what grew was a little half tooth. So when I was in high school, I had it fucking removed. That's why I don't have a chin. It's because I had to have a tooth removed. And now, when I catch myself smiling, I think I have something in my fucking teeth. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Oh, that's where your fucking tooth rotted out of your head. But when you're a kid, you know what I mean? Like when you're really super into dental hygiene, of course. Like here's your boy, black ass tooth, and I'm talking like as opposed to a white tooth, and it fucking fell out. It was dead. It died. Not like I'm disrespecting the race of a tooth. Okay. Um, remember trying not to get too stressed out about things you can't control. And goddamn, do not let the fucking TikTok the people on TikTok are batshit fucking crazy and they don't have to identify themselves basically. That's why the YouTube comment section is so much more sane. Cause like it's kinda easy to find out who you are, actually. And TikTok you can kinda hide who you are, right? You can't really do that on YouTube. There's a reason that there's a smaller audience and they seem like more sane people because you got to be a whole ass idiot to take to give up your anonymity to come onto a YouTube chat room and talk like the people do on TikTok with their insane, just unhinged ass shit. And that's like the nicest way to say it. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'll talk to y'all later.